All right, everyone, let's welcome to 7.4 notes. Activating strategy. Today, you guys are going to learn how to add and subtract rational expressions. So, it's asking you to determine the least common multiplier. Least common multiplier is simply common denominator. So, between 24 and 12, a common denominator would be 24. Okay, because 24 goes into 24 and 12 goes into 24, okay? So again, least common multiplier is common denominator. Least common multiplier will not be 2 or 4 or 3 or 6. That's a factor, okay? That's something that we factor out. Least common multiplier, that's our common denominator, okay? Again, 10 and 25, it will be a 50. Because 10 goes into 50 and 25 goes into 50. And 4x and 10, it will be 20x. Okay, because again, we can multiply 4x times 5 to get a 20x, and we can multiply 10 by 2x to get into 20x. Okay? All right. Same thing for find the least common multiplier, so common denominator for these two. So if this one is x minus 3, x plus 2, this one is missing x plus 2. So now they both look the same, okay? Now, so what would be the common denominator here, or least common multiplier? It would be x plus 3, oops, sorry about that, x minus 3. So the denominator that they have in common, okay? It would be x minus 3 and x plus 2 for both, okay? Here, let's square root this. This would be x plus 2, x minus 2. And then if we do a times c here, you're going to have two factors multiply to 6 but add to 5. It's x plus 3 and x plus 2. So now, two different things. Now, what do they have in common? Okay? What is the same? This factor and this factor. What is different? This factor and this factor. So if I want them to be the same, they have to have both. So this factor is missing, this side is missing x minus 2, and this side is missing x plus 3. Okay, so what would be the common denominator for both? X plus 3 times x plus 2 times x minus 2. That includes all three factors into your denominator. All right. Now, we're going to do a first example. Okay. This one right here. So, how do we do that? When you're adding two fractions, you want the denominator to be the same. Now, this factor and this factors are the same. The right side has two factors. The left side has one. So the smaller side is missing something. Where am I missing on the left side right here? I am missing 3x plus 4. Okay? So I am going to multiply 3x plus 4 on this side. So now, when I look at it, this has 3x plus 4, x minus 2. And this has 3x plus 4 and x minus 2. Now, remember, whatever we do to the bottom, we got to do to the top. So if I multiplied it on the left on the denominator, I got to multiply the numerator. Just like if you have 1 and 5 plus 1 and 3. The common denominator here would be 15, okay? So to make them 15, I got to multiply this one by 3, which means I got to multiply the top. If I want this to be a 15, I got to multiply this by 5 and this one by 5. So again, the same principle. Whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top, okay? And the bottoms have to be the same for you to be able to add or subtract the fraction, okay? Now, I am going to put it all into one line. So on the bottom, I only have one denominator. I only have to write it one time, okay? I do not need to write 1, 2. I'm only writing it one time, okay? One denominator that is the same for both. Now, on the top, I am going to literally combine the entire top together into one line. So I got 3x plus 4 times 2 plus x squared minus 12, okay? Now, you're not square rooting nothing, you're simply solving and simplifying the equation. So, we got a 2 here. We're going to multiply and distribute this 2 into the parentheses. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 4 is 8. And then we got plus x squared minus 12 divided by our denominator. Okay. Now, the only thing left is to combine like terms. I only got 1x squared. Okay. I only got 1 6x. And then I got an 8 and negative 12. So it's going to be negative 4 over 3x plus 4 and x minus 2. And that's how you leave it. This is your answer. You cannot simplify it any further and cancel anything out because x squared, 6x, and negative 4 do not have any factors. If I multiply 1 times negative 4, I don't have anything that will add up to give me 6. Okay? So you just leave it like that. If you need to pause that, please do so. All right, now we're going to do subtraction. Okay, ready? Very important, this fellow right here. Very important. So let's start from the beginning. This is not worked out, so I got to do a times c first to rewrite it in a binomial factor form. So 2 factors and multiply to 6 and add to 5. It's going to be 2 and 3. Why is it not 1 and 6? Because then 1 will have to be negative. If I multiply it, it's not going to give me positive 6. But it has to be 2 and 3. So I'm going to rewrite it. I got x squared plus 5x in the first fraction, and this is going to be x plus 2 and x plus 3. Okay? Minus 3 over x plus 2. Now again, I got 2 things in here. One of them is the same as the one on the right. This one only has one bottom. So that means I am missing something. What am I missing? I'm missing x plus 3. Whatever I do to the bottom, I got to do it to the top. Okay? Now, these look the same. Identical. So that means I am ready. Okay? I am ready to put them into one line. And I'm only going to use one of them. X plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay? Now, on the top, I'm going to rewrite x squared plus 5x minus 3 times x plus 3. Okay? Now, of course, this we have to distribute, negative 3. Okay? So, rewriting x squared plus 5x. Now, my negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9 divided by x plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay, and all you have to do is combine like terms. I only got 1x squared. I got 5x and negative 3x. That leaves me with positive 2x and negative 9 over x plus 2 and x plus 3. Now again, 1 times 9. 9, I don't have any factors that will multiply to 9 and give me 2. You're going to leave it at that, okay? Now again, if you need to check for extraneous solutions for both, just to remind you, here, you're going to set the bottoms equal to 0, okay? So x cannot equal 2, and then 3x plus 4 cannot equal 0. That means 3x cannot equal negative 4, x cannot equal negative 4 over 3, okay? These are extraneous solutions. These are solutions that will give the bottom a 0, which will make this function undefined, okay? All right. So moving forwards, always remember about extraneous solutions, okay? Now the same thing here. Okay, let's make sure that we're looking at the bottom here. Let's make sure that these function x squared plus 5x plus 6, it was x plus 2 and x plus 3. So x plus 2 equals 0, x cannot equal 2, negative 2, I'm sorry, and x cannot equal negative 3, okay? These are the two of the function, two of the factors that we equal to 0 right here on the bottom, okay? That we equaling to 0 that will make this function undefined, okay? Because if I have negative 2 here plus 2, that will give me 0. If I have negative 3 plus 3, that will give me 0, okay? Very good. All right. Now you try, if you need to pause that, please do so. Again, this is a times c, 2 has to equal to 3, so that's 1 and 2. So I got x plus 1 and x plus 2. Now please remember that plus x plus 1. Now remember that one of the factors have to be the same. As you're factoring this thing out here, one of the factors will be included majority of the time. Not all the time, but majority of the time. So that means I got x minus 1 here. Now here, I got x plus 1 and x plus 1 in both. I got x plus 2 here and I don't have 1 here. So what is missing here? X plus 2. That means I also got to multiply the top. Now on the top here, I got an x. Okay? So now I'm going to put everything together into one line. I only got 1 x plus 1 bottom. Because I got 1, 2, they're both identical, so I'm just going to write it one time. Now here, I got x plus x minus 1 plus x times x plus 2. So again, as a reminder, we are going to be distributing the x minus 1 plus x times x is x squared. X times 2, it's 2x. Please understand that x times x, it's x squared. Because you get x and x to the first power here, and you add their exponents. X times x is not 2x. Okay, I saw students making the mistakes today, okay? All right, and then on the bottom, I get, of course, x plus 1 and x plus 2. And all you have to do is combine like terms. So again, I got 1x squared, okay? I got x and 2x, which makes it a 3x, and then I have minus 1. So x plus 1 and x plus 2, okay? Now again, you're going to take x plus 1 equals 0. X cannot equal negative 1, and x cannot equal negative 2. Okay, so these are your undefined and extraneous solutions. Pause that if you need to, please. All right, you try number 2 with your negative. Now, this one looks so tricky. You got x minus 5 and you get 3x plus 1. You cannot take a greater common factor out of any of them and you can't do anything with them. So what can you do? Well, you can multiply them by each other. So this one, 3x plus 1, it's missing x minus 5. X minus 5, it's missing 3x plus 1. Okay? Well, let us write it all in one. Now they both have the same bottom. Okay? So we can write it one time. Now, I like to write these two together minus these two together because this is what it really is. Left fraction minus the right fraction. So, remember that factors need to be inner parentheses when you're multiplying them. Minus 2x minus 6 inner parentheses with x minus 5. So what do I see here? Okay, I see these two and I see these two. So I multiply first and then subtract. So you are going to do a FOIL or box method. So 3x, 1, x, 3. That's 3x squared, x, 9x, and 3. Combine like terms. So you get 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. So that's this. This is what I just multiplied. So now instead of these, this is what I do. I'm going to put 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. And I like to keep it in a parentheses because there's a negative there. And then I'm going to multiply the other one. Okay? So now I'm going to multiply the other one. Okay? So I get 2x minus 6, x minus 5. So that's 2x squared minus 6x minus 10x plus 30. Combine like terms. We get 2x squared minus 16x plus 30. 2x squared minus 16x plus 30. Okay? So if you need to write that down, pause that because I'm going to erase that. Okay. And the whole thing is over 3x plus 1 and x minus 5. Okay? Now I have to distribute this negative. Negative goes into the 2, the 16, and the 30. So, because we're subtracting two fractions from each other. So I repeat the first one. Then negative times 2, it's negative 2x squared. Negative times negative 16 is positive 16x, and negative times 30 is negative 30, okay? Over 3x plus 1 and x minus 5. And again, the key here is to make sure that you understand that you got to distribute the negative. Now you're going to combine like terms. 3x squared and negative 2x squared makes it an x squared. 10x and 16x makes it a 26x. And 3 and minus 30 makes it negative 27 over 3x plus 1 and x minus 5. Now again, you're going to take these and equal it to 0. 3x plus 1 equals 0. X cannot equal negative 1 over 3. And x minus 5, x cannot equal 5. Okay? Now, you might be asking why, you might be asking why I didn't distribute the negative, why I didn't distribute the negative right here. Okay? You can. All right, so again, if you need to pause this to write the rest of it down, please do so, because I'm going to erase it. Okay? Now, can I distribute this negative into first? Yes, I can. So let's rewrite this. 3x plus 1 times x plus 3. Plus now, if you're distributing the negative, you're changing it to an addition now. Negative 2x plus 6. It only distributes to the first parenthesis, then the negative is in the front. And then the second parenthesis stays the same. So, we already multiplied this one. Okay. So now, we already multiplied the first two. Okay. We multiply this. So these two are already multiplied. So we got 3x squared plus 10x plus 3. Now, the next one we multiplying is going to be negative 2x plus 6 and x minus 5. So this is going to be now negative 2x squared. This is going to be positive 6x. This is going to be positive 10x. Okay, and this is going to be a negative 30. When you combine the like terms, you adding now, because you got rid of the negative already, you adding negative, or subtracting, I guess, negative 2x squared, okay, plus 16x minus 30, okay? So again, very similar. So if you combine it, it's going to come up to the same answer, okay? Because again, you're combining 3x squared with negative 2x squared, so that's x squared. 10x plus 16x makes it 26x. And 3 and negative 30 is negative 27. So exactly the same answer. So whichever way you choose, it's fine. Oopsie. So it's to be negative. All right, so that's your finding method. All right, and that was it for adding and subtracting for UTry. Now, I'm going to make a video of the tic-tac-toe examples and then also added it to my eClass.